Okay, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for watching this presentation. I know this is a little non-traditional, but we are working on bringing information that you need to you by whatever means possible. So this is our dissertation and thesis formatting workshop that we hold twice a semester. And it's going to be a presentation with myself and Alexa Height from the library. I'll be discussing the dissertation formatting, and Alexa will be coming in a few slides to discuss copyright. We'll also be hosting a live Q&A that we will have that information posted on our website. All right, so just to cover our agenda, we're going to discuss some important areas on the website where you can get information for your upcoming deadlines and things. We're going to discuss those important dates, where to find them on the website, the forms that you need to turn in, the process of formatting your dissertation and thesis. We'll have the copyright information in that process piece as well. And then the questions and answers, like I mentioned, will be a live Q&A through WebEx at another time. So we have the CGS website. If you all go to these links here, gradcollege.tamucc.edu, master's students and doctoral students, you all have separate pages where you can view the different components that are available to you. We do have the catalog links, handbooks, important dates, what forms you need to turn in. We have guidelines and templates for your dissertation and theses, defense announcements, and then we discuss the electronic submission. So our dates for the spring 2020 semester, although commencement might be delayed, and we don't have information on that yet, the deadlines for graduation and our processes on our end are not changing. So we will be following at this time the same deadlines that are posted on our website. So please be sure to adhere to these deadlines. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to our office at our email, gradcollege@tamucc.edu. If there are any changes to these deadlines, we would announce that on the website. But as of right now, these are the same. So just a note on our accommodations that we're making for you during our dealing with COVID-19. We are currently allowing students to defend virtually. If you need to make arrangements to do so, please speak with your committee chair. They've been given guidelines that are important to follow, and so they'll help you to set that up. And if you do need to practice using WebEx, which is our preferred digital video conferencing software that the university provides for you, let me know. You can reach out to gradcollege@tamucc.edu, and I'd be happy to set up a practice meeting so that you can get a feel for how to use the software. It's actually fairly easy. That's what we're using right now to record this session, and we can get you set up so that you're feeling more comfortable with that before your defense. So required forms for our doctoral students. You should all have a degree plan on file and a comprehensive exam that you've passed in a form that indicates that passing, a committee appointment form, and in your graduating semester, we should have an agreement to schedule your defense, a defense and written report, which is saying whether or not you passed your defense, and we would get that submitted to our office after your defense has occurred. And then a graduate faculty representative report from your GFR, and they turn that in themselves. For thesis students, we have all of that, except we don't have the comprehensive exam or the graduate faculty rep report, but everything else is the same. Doctoral forms, again, you can find these all on the College of Graduate Studies website. We have the Form H. These are supplemental forms that you may or may not need. If you have ever had a change in committee, you would need to have filed a Form H with our office. If you've ever submitted an exception request or a request to transfer in courses to our university, we would need a Form I, which is the exception form. Form J is the revalidation request. If you have been here beyond the 10-year period taking classes and your courses have what we call expired, then you would need to have those revalidated. And then if you have had to have a leave of absence for whatever reason, we would need to have a form on file for that. For our master's students, again, just covering the forms that are required, you should have had a Thesis Advisory Committee appointment form. In your graduating semester, a preliminary agreement to schedule your thesis defense, the thesis defense and written report. And then the as-needed forms are the same as the doctoral forms. Change requests for your committee, exception forms, revalidation requests. Now for you, that's 7 years. So if your courses are over 7 years old, we need that. And then a request for leave of absence. So what we're going to cover in our formatting piece is the ordering of the preliminary pages, the formatting itself, common errors that I find from student submissions, submission guidelines, distribution and costs, the checklist, and then we'll get right into the order of the preliminary pages. So a dissertation and thesis will have the same order of the preliminary pages. Going to have a title page, a copyright page, committee member page, an abstract, and this is where you begin to paginate or put your page numbers. Page numbers should not be on pages before the abstract, and it starts with the Roman numeral 5. You have a dedication that's optional, an acknowledgement that is optional, so if you choose to have those in there, that's fine. If not, that's okay too. Table of contents, list of figures, if you have figures, a list of tables, and a list of appendices. Those are all if you have those. So general formatting guidelines. Just so you know, submissions and revisions are done through ProQuest only. When you have your final document, you're going to upload that to our ProQuest portal, and then you're going to get some responses from, at first, my graduate assistants. They go in and review given parameters that I've provided for them, and they'll send you an email through ProQuest saying, here are the changes that you need to make to be able to be in compliance with submission requirements. They'll detail it out in the email. You can respond basically by uploading your revised document. If you do have questions and it's going above and beyond what you feel you can edit, you can email Grad College and we can assist you. But just know that all the actual revisions are going to go through ProQuest. We're not going to accept edited documents in email, only through ProQuest. You should have 1-inch margins on all of your pages. That's to ensure that nothing cuts off in publication during your hard copy publication through ProQuest. Your preliminary pages, we should see, and really throughout, a 12-point Times New Roman font. Page titles are always in all caps. And we do have, don't forget, we have the templates available to help you with the formatting of your dissertation or thesis. So this is an example of our of a dissertation, but we do have, you can adapt this for thesis. If you have, so your title here, as we mentioned, it's all caps, and if it runs into another line, then it's going to be single space there. A dissertation by and your name, or if it's a thesis by. You would list out your degrees here, your university name and year. If you graduated from an international university, you can feel free to include the country in this as well. Oh, I'm sorry about that. So submitted in partial fulfillment of the requirements for the degree of. If you're not sure about how to format the language of your degree, we do have some difficulties with that. Just check with your committee chair. But it is the degree you're earning. So, for instance, this one is Doctor of Philosophy in Marine Biology. Double check your spelling on this. Sometimes the easiest things can be where we mess up the details. So double check your spelling of your title, of your degree, everything here. Then we have the university name. There is no space between the word university, the dash, and the word corpus. So just be sure to keep those all together. And then the city and state. And then your graduating semester, your graduating month rather. So this will be for you all graduating in spring, this will be May 2020. We do have some students that submit, it says, it says the date, the month that they submitted it rather than the date they're graduating. So be sure that that's May 2020. Copyright page, you'll put your full legal name and all rights reserved, and then this will also be May 2020 for you all. Committee member page. I'm going to touch on this again on another slide, but one issue that I have coming out of particularly the science and engineering degrees is you all sometimes will put signature lines. I think that's something that you're used to doing when you're submitting your proposals to your department, but we do not have anyone physically sign your dissertation or thesis. So please do not include signature lines on the committee member page. So we've got, again, the title here. I have had some issues where the title on the title page and the title on the committee member page do not match. So we need you to be sure that you're putting your final title on both pages and that everything matches up. We've had some that are, it's very similar from the title page to the committee member page, but one word is different, and even though it kind of means the same thing, we have a discrepancy there, so make sure that's the same. Again, a dissertation or thesis by your name, dissertation meets the standards, and then you're going to put your committee. Let's say that you had a chair, a co-chair, and a committee member. Let's go ahead and you're going to put committee member here in the center. So just try to keep it really balanced and neat. For our thesis students, you don't have a graduate faculty representative, so if we didn't have this one, it would look really strange to have two and then just one sitting here, so you're going to go ahead and center it. And then again, your graduating semester goes there at the bottom. So your abstract, again, this is where your pagination begins. I do see people putting page numbers on the title page. That's incorrect. So we only start pagination on the abstract page with the Roman numeral for 5. If you count your title page, your copyright page, and your committee member page, you're going to think, well, why is this number 5? Because that's only 4 pages by the time you get to the abstract. But this is to allow for the automatic insertion of the ProQuest publisher page. So they put a big old, published by ProQuest page, and so that's how we get to 5. The text of the abstract should start 2 spaces below the title. So you have the word abstract in all caps, and then enter, and then that's where your text will start. The text should be double spaced, follow the same margin settings, with the 1-inch margins, as well as the same right alignment or ragged edge or right justified. So here's an example of an abstract page. So if we were to scroll down on this, we would see that Roman numeral 5 at the bottom. Dedication, again, this is one of your optional pages, but if you do include it, you would still do double spacing. And your acknowledgments as well, you would do the double spacing. We're not as specific on how these pages look, but you just want to look consistent throughout your document, so nothing really strange. Basically, you want everything to look uniform. So if it stands out, that's going to not be the ideal. We want to keep it all uniform. Table of contents. Again, the title table of contents will be centered and capitalized at the top of the page. You'll use the headings, contents, and page, and that will continue on to secondary pages. You'll list the preliminary pages, beginning with the abstract and including the table of contents itself. Include all headings and subheadings used in the dissertation or thesis. You'll use Roman numerals for all of your preliminary pages. You'll begin the Arabic numerals, like 1, 2, 3, for all pages starting with the introduction. So all of these preliminary pages are Roman numerals. You do not start with Arabic numerals until the introduction or usually chapter 1 is what some folks will label it as. Use 12-point Times New Roman font, and we should not see bold, italicized, or underlining in any of the preliminary pages. Folks are able to do bold, italicize, and underline once you get to the body of your work, because some disciplines do actually prefer that, but just please keep it out of the preliminary pages. And this is an example of the table of contents. So you see how we have here contents and page, and like I said, that would continue if you have a secondary page. You'd have contents and page at the top. And there's another example there. List of figures. Use the heading Figures and Page as appropriate for the listing of pages. So just like we had on the table of contents, contents and page, you'll put figures and page. Align the last number of the page number with the E in the word page. So you'll see we have the page number here, and it's lined up with the E. We do prefer to keep this consistent, so figure 1 with the colon. If you have used a different format here, we're not going to be super picky as long as it's consistent. So don't change, how you're formatting this every other one. It looks different, or your tables look different. Just try to stay consistent with how you're labeling that. So list of tables, it's the same as the list of figures, putting tables and page at the top, aligning the page number with the E in page. And then list of appendices. Use the heading appendix and page as appropriate for the listing of pages. Align the page number with the E in page. But a special note, if you only have one appendix, you don't need to have a separate list of appendices. You could just include that single appendix in your table of contents and then not have a separate list, a separate page for your one appendix. We don't need that if you only have one. So this page, for example, would not exist if you only had one appendix. You'll just list Appendix A in your table of contents. So common errors. I mentioned before the committee page sometimes coming through with signature lines. So if you have those, please remove any signature lines on the committee page. Varying font sizes. So I will have some documents that come through where we've got the 12-point Times New Roman font, and then we get to the next page and it is a 10.5 font of a different font style. So please stay consistent with the 12-point Times New Roman font throughout the document. I've seen varying justifications. So if you're going to start your body of work with no indent, then please be consistent with no paragraph starting with indents. If you're going to indent every paragraph, then every paragraph needs to be indented. So just try to make sure that you're being consistent in the choices that you make when composing the body of your work. Again, I see issues with pagination beginning on the title page or on the copyright page, sometimes on the committee member page. Pagination, there will be no page numbers until your abstract page beginning with Roman numeral 5. And this is the biggest error that I find, and we're actually going to delve into it a little bit more, is tables or figures extending beyond the 1-inch margin. So the problem with this is anything that extends beyond 1 inch has the potential to be cut off during publication. And we have had students have to have their dissertations or theses rebound because they didn't stay within the 1-inch margin, and much of their data was cut off in publication. So let me show you some ways to kind of combat this issue. If you are checking your margins while you're still editing your document in Word, this is the one way that you can do it. You're going to go to the View menu, and Ruler is usually already checked off, but we also want to check off grid lines. So now you have your document set up with 1-inch margins all around. And so what grid lines is going to do is, you see here, it's going to put grid lines within that 1-inch margin. So right here, we see this student's figure goes beyond the grid lines, well, the grid lines are all within the 1-inch margin. So this tells us that this figure is going to cut off, potentially cut off in publication. I can't say with 100% certainty that it wouldn't make it into the publication okay, but I don't want you all to risk it. So you would just modify this image and shrink it to be within the grid lines, and then that's going to ensure that 100% you will not have that chart cut off. So be sure of that. If you're doing that in Word, that's how you would check. Now you can check in PDF as well. So if you've already submitted your document to Progress or already converted it to PDF for upload, and you want to see if your images are going over the margins, you would go to the View menu, Show Hide, Rulers and Grids, and then select Rulers. Now it's a little tricky because it's not going to give you that visual like the Word document does. You have to look yourself with the ruler. Okay, so I've got, this is 1 inch here, and then you're going to double click on that little hash mark, and what that will do is it will snap this blue line down, and you have to go page by page. It doesn't snap the blue line across the entire document. So this is a little bit more of a tedious way of checking your margins than the Word, because the Word will put the grid line on every page at once. So this one you would have to go page by page. And again, I have the same chart, and we see that blue line that I snapped down, the image is going to print beyond that 1 inch margin. So then, of course, you you'd have to go and edit this in your Word document and reconvert it to PDF. So it might be best to just do this all in Word so that you have that nice grid line. But I wanted you all to know how to view this in PDF. So when I get this and I'm reviewing your documents, they are in PDF. So this is how I'm reviewing to see that your charts are not going to cut off. And if they do, that'll be indicated in your email that you get from us in ProQuest saying, you know, page 34, I see that figure 2.1 looks that it will cut off on the right-hand side of the page, and you need to shrink that to fit within the 1 inch margins. So that's how that advice would get conveyed to you. We do leave it up to you. We're telling you that this is something in the body that's going to be an issue. It's up to you whether you change that, but just know that if the publication comes out and something's cut off and we have notation that we had asked you to change it, the responsibility of having your document rebound would be on you as the student. Submission guidelines. You'll go to the website here on the link, but we'll also provide that to you if you ever need that link again. And of course, this presentation will be available on our website. But you'd go to etdadmin.com/TAMUCC, and you'll create an account to be able to submit through our ProQuest site. You'll have all of the steps given to you. It's fairly user-friendly to getting you to the point of submission. But if you have questions, you can feel free to ask us. We have a submission guide as well. Binding, that's all handled through ProQuest and the ETD administrator. So you do have to order one required copy of the document for library purposes. So we do put a hardbound copy in the library, but you do need to pay for that required copy. And then you're able to order any personal copies that you would like to order. Your department may require a departmental copy, so you would want to check with your committee chair to see if you need to order a copy for them as well. Any color graphics included in the digital copy of the thesis will be reproduced in color at no extra charge. So that means your photographs, your charts, and other illustrations are printed as you had put them in your document. And your bound copy will be shipped approximately 8 to 12 weeks after approval of the manuscript for publication. Distribution and costs. The required copy is $48 currently. Personal bound copies vary by the type and size that you order. We have a dissertation processing fee for the university, which is a $100 fee, and that is required before we would clear you for graduation. There is a copyright fee that is optional, and we'll discuss that more soon, and then an open access publishing fee, which is optional as well. And this is an example of where you would get the options to order your personal copies and how it varies by size of the copy and quantity. Okay, so for this part, I'm going to turn it over to Alexa Height from the library, who will discuss our copyright options for you.
Thanks, Angela. Thank you, everyone, for watching this presentation, and congratulations not only on getting to this point, but doing so. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about copyright. So this slide, should I pay the additional copyright? As you may know, you have full copyright on your work that you are submitting through ProQuest. As Angela pointed out in the copyright title page, you are saying all rights reserved. So you are retaining all of your copyrights, which include redistribution, making copies of your work, things like that, including selling your work for profit. If you want, you are given the option to pay the additional $55, which gives you additional copyright protection. Essentially, what this does is kind of like an insurance policy, like insurance on your car. If you get into an accident, you have insurance that will pay for whatever damages. So if you were to take someone to court for copyright infringement on your work, if you do pay this extra $55, you see what would be covered, which could range from $750 to $150,000 plus attorney fees per copyright infraction. So if multiple people are infringing on your copyrighted work, it can get very expensive. So $55 doesn't seem like a lot compared to those other figures. However, you may also feel that $55 is a lot at this time. Again, you still have that copyright. It's just if you were to take someone to court about infringing your rights, you may be paying a lot of money out of pocket. So if you do not have the copyright registration, which is what the $55 covers, you can only claim actual damages and you can't cover the attorney fees. So those attorney fees would be out of pocket. Okay, and should I pay for Open Access Plus? Again, this is up to you. So this, while the copyright protection that we just talked about is for your own protection, what Open Access Plus does is for your readers. So paying for this open access option would ensure that your work could potentially reach more readers. So as you may know, going as master's and dissertation students, a lot of the research, previously published research that you have gained access to, has been through library resources. So the library pays a lot of money to have access to these resources. So going forward, you are publishing your own work through ProQuest, and your work will be available to those institutions, to students who have access to ProQuest because they are paying for subscription. So what the Open Access Plus does is your work would be available to anyone, regardless of whether they had subscription to ProQuest dissertations and theses. Students, you may have experienced this yourselves, but students at other institutions may still get access to your work through things like interlibrary loan, but the Open Access Plus just would ensure that your work is available to anyone who has internet access and can read and download your work. So again, it's totally up to you in your personal preference. Studies do show that open access versions are read more and cited more. And again, I think this is my last slide, but again, if you have any questions regarding copyright or open access, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help. If you do have previous works published, like an article that you're including in your dissertation that's been previously published and you're uncertain about how to go about doing that and making sure it's okay to publish in your dissertation, please feel free to reach out to me, and I would be happy to set up a one-on-one consultation, probably virtually at this point in time.
All right, thank you so much, Alexa.
Thank you.
So after submission, what happens? We have an initial review by our staff for adherence to the guidelines. As I mentioned, this is actually going to be our graduate assistants take a first pass through, and they see if there's anything that they recognize really quickly that is an edit that needs to be made. They send you that notification through ProQuest, letting you know what the revisions are. Then when we get to the point of a secondary review, that's done by either myself or our new outreach compliance officer, Sophia Zahner. So it's either myself or Sophia that do the second review, and we make sure that all of the revisions that you were asked to do the first time have been completed in your second submission. And if there's anything else that we recognize that might be an issue, and we go through and we look for those 1-inch margin cutoff issues and send you back anything that you need to revise from there. We really would like to see that from your initial submission date, you have about 2 weeks to submit a final revised copy. Those deadlines may be more flexible this semester, but at the moment they are sticking to those deadlines. So please try to have any edits that we request done within a 2-week period of submission. We then verify all of your checklist requirements, and what this means is that we have all of your mandatory forms on file. We have a degree plan on file for you. We have your dissertation processing fee if you're a doctoral student. We have your survey of earned doctorates turned in to us, if you're a doctoral student. And once everything is verified, so that we have all of this on file and you are good to go on all graduation requirements, you'll get a notification saying that your manuscript has been submitted for publication. You will get a notification before that as well when if we have everything on file and you have no more edits, we do send one while we're pending grades, saying that we're just pending final grades but everything looks good. And then you'll have that final publication notification from us. The dissertation students, just to review again, those forms are a part of your processing checklist, forms A through G, and any supplemental forms that you may have turned in over the years. Final version of your dissertation, the survey of earned doctorates, and then the $100 university processing fee for dissertations. For thesis, we need forms A through C, and the final version of your thesis submitted. So we're coming to the end of our presentation, and I just wanted you to know that there are resources available. Again, you can reach out, like Alexa said, you can reach out to her, Alexa Height. You can find her contact information on the university directory. Our office hours, so we are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. At the time of this presentation, we do have an on-campus presence. We would encourage you all to utilize phone or email appointments or inquiries rather than come to campus at this time. But if you feel like you really need to come in person, that is okay. These are subject to change as things are developing. College of Graduate Studies moved about a year ago to Faculty Center 151. We're on the first floor of Faculty Center, not on the Starbucks side, but across from, down the hall from it. You can call me at 361-825-2526 to schedule a formatting appointment. This may be adjusting to where you're scheduling with Sophia Zahner. She'll be kind of taking the lead on formatting in the future, and so that might transition to her, but for now you can give me a call. And just please note that we are going to have any formatting appointments over the WebEx system for the spring 2020 semester. I can share screens, you can share your screen, and we can work to get your formatting completed and where we need it to be, but in a safe way where we're practicing good social distancing. Our email address is gradcollege@tamucc.edu, and you can find our website at gradcollege.tamucc.edu. So all of our resources are there, and a quick email to us, and we can get you your questions answered or point you to the resources that you need. As I mentioned, we are going to have our first live Q&A session on March 25th at 12 p.m. This should be posted on the GROW website at grow.tamucc.edu. If you would like to be able to participate in that live Q&A, you can also email Grad College for more information. And then this will be, we'll have another session of this in the future. So thank you all so much for watching our presentation. And if you have any questions, feel free to follow up with us. And best of luck in submitting your dissertation and theses, and we're sure that you're going to be successful.